So it's now recording, so don't say anything really controversial or crazy. It's really interesting to me how the verse that we're going to be in, actually you can go ahead and open your Bibles there. We're going to be in John chapter 14. We're going to be in John chapter 14, verse 6. 2 times ago when I spoke, I actually was dealing with some stuff later in John chapter 14 where it talked about if Jesus said, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Okay? And I talked about that, and I said that love, if you love somebody, the keeping of commandments and doing what they ask you to do, and loyalty to that person just flows naturally from that love. Okay? There's not a person out here that if you want to be in a relationship with somebody and you really want them to like you, if they ask you to do something, you're probably going to do what they ask you to do, as long as it's not something illegal or majorly bad. Mm-hmm. You know, my wife loves me. I love her. So when she says, "Hey, honey, can you get me this?" I don't say, "Get it yourself."
Unless he has a cat in his lap. That's our rule.
Oh, okay. So now we're revealing way too much information. But here, the truth is yes, if I've got the cat in my lap, then that is an excuse that I don't have to get up to get her something. That's the rule. It's called the cat in the lap rule. But that's really good. Thanks for interjecting that, honey. That's good. But that's just the way love is. When you love somebody, you naturally want to do what they ask you to do. But why do we make loving Jesus so complicated in the church? Why do we make following Jesus so complicated? We overcomplicate things all the time. So many times when I meet people and I'm talking to them and I ask them questions and I say, "So where are you with this person Jesus?" Invariably they'll say stuff like, "Well, yeah, I kind of want to do what Jesus wants," but then they'll say, but I don't do this and I don't do that. And they're all focusing on external, and then sometimes they'll say, "Well, yeah, somebody in the church really hurt me and I just had enough with this whole thing," And it's just amazing how that comes to the surface. So we want to keep things simple. So as we look at John chapter 14, verse 6, I'm just going to read the text for you. And it's really short and simple. I'll give you a little bit of context. Verse 1, John chapter 14, verse 1, he said, Jesus is talking, of course, and he's talking to the disciples. He says, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." Anybody that says that Jesus never said he was God, if I came to you and I said, "You believe in God, also believe in me," you would be like, "Okay, you're saying that you're the same as God." There's no way to mistake that. Then in verse 2, he said, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also." I just love that verse because it's so relational. He's not saying, "So if you look really pious and you pray 50 times a day and you really look spiritual." That's a very relational verse. He's just very simply saying, if you want to get to God, you got to come through me. And if you do, there's a mansion. And the mansion isn't just come to my mansion and look at how cool my windows look. Come to my mansion and look at my chandeliers. No, it's come to my mansion and spend time with me. That's what he's saying, right? And then he says, And where I go, you know, and the way you know. And so then Thomas, of course, good old doubting Thomas, Lord, we don't know where you're going. We don't know which is the right way. And then, of course, Jesus answers Thomas and he says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. I added the extra for emphasis. He actually said, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So that verse right there flies right in the face of what is a predominant thinking that pervades all of our society here in America and around the world. It's called universalism. And if I'm going to break that down for you, universalism in its very core basically says you've got this mountain, and at the top of the mountain is God. And one person may go on a road that comes up this side, and another person may come up another side, and a third person may come up this side, but as long as they get to God, that's all that matters. There's all roads lead to God, basically, is universalism defined. Now, when people say universalism and they say what it is, they always say it in a way that sounds so open-minded and so accepting and loving and caring of all people. And they come across to somebody like me and they say, well, isn't that kind of strict? But the thing that always mystifies me is how, when it comes to God, we try to overcomplicate things and come up with all these theories and do all of that kind of work. But when it comes to everyday relationships, we don't do that at all. So here's some examples for you. The first one, Jesus referred to right here in the text. It's the father-child relationship. In a father-child relationship, if you're the parent, if you're the father, and you're saying to somebody, I love you, I want what's best for you, but if you don't clean your room, I'm not taking you on a camping trip this weekend. If the child says, you know what, it's been a long week and I'm really tired, I can't get around to cleaning my room. If the father says, you know what, deep down, I think you really wanted to clean your room, so go ahead, we'll go on the fishing trip. What does that teach the child? It teaches that child that they cannot trust their father.
Makes them lazy.
Makes them lazy, and it doesn't follow through. Okay? So you guys know I like to play games, right? Everybody loves to play games, right? So say you're playing a game, and it's a card game, and aces are higher than kings. And you're playing the card game, and you play the ace, and somebody else plays the king, and they go, you know what? I kind of feel like the king should be highest for this hand. Are you okay with that? Because we all, we're all kind of, no, they're going to say, no, the rule is aces beat kings. Here's another one for you. Say you're driving. You're driving 70 miles an hour down the highway. You're going the right way. Somebody coming from the other way says, you know what? I kind of think that this whole thing that I need to stay in my lane is really strict and really inhibiting to me as a person. I want to be free to drive wherever I want to drive. If they come across that line and they kill you, is the fact that they think that there are many ways to drive on the highway something that helps you, or is that something that hurts you? It hurts. You see, in every area of our lives on earth, in every relationship, we're very clear. There's one way to do things that works, and there's another way to do things that doesn't work. And everybody freely accepts that, because last time I checked, it's kind of hard to run a classroom. Let's try teaching, for example. You're a teacher, and you say to your students, okay, here's the deal. If you hand in your homework, I will give you a grade. If you don't hand in your homework, you will not get a grade. And little Johnny sitting in the corner says, you know what? It's been a long week and I'm a little tired. I don't think I can get around to turning in this homework, so I'm just not going to do it. And the teacher says, you know what? In your heart, you really wanted to turn in your homework, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you the credit. How do you think all of the other students that turned in their homework are going to feel?
Unfair.
They'll feel like that's unfair, and they'd be right to say so. Every other relationship that we can talk about does not work without one way of navigating that relationship. My favorite one of all time, of course, is the marriage relationship. The marriage relationship is one of the most important ones because Jesus said marriage is actually a picture of my relationship with the church. We the church are his bride, right? And he's the groom. So you guys, most of you probably know where I'm going with this. Say I get married and I stand at the altar and I say to my wife, I love you. I will be true to you till the day I die. I swear before God that that's what I'm going to do. 6 months later, this same person that made those vows to me comes and says, you know what? This whole monogamy thing is just like really too constricting to me. I kind of need to be free to express myself and what my truth is. And for me, my truth is that I need to be able to see other people as well as be married to you. Is there a person here that would say that goes? Unfortunately, there are people now in our current society that would say, yeah, sure. They call it open marriages. And then you've got people that do swinging and all that stuff where married couples are switching around and doing all this kind of stuff. And Hollywood loves to just take all of that and just glamorize it and say, oh, this is so free. This is so wonderful.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, this is the. Only problem is that what happens if suddenly, it's really funny. Unfortunately, occasionally I'll see a TV show where they're dealing with that. And one of the TV shows I was watching, they were dealing with that thing, and a couple of the people started doing some stuff they weren't supposed to, and one of the people actually had the gall to say, well, we have very strict rules. So they were swinging, which is swapping partners, But yet they had rules for how they did that.